The wind, a restless spirit of the Great Plains, swept through the sparse encampment, carrying the scent of dust and the distant, taunting aroma of unseen herds. It was a lean time for the people of the Red Ochre. The last successful hunt was a fading memory, its bounty long since consumed, leaving behind only polished bones and the gnawing ache in their bellies. Cale, a young hunter with more fire in his heart than meat on his bones, stared out at the endless expanse of dry, waving grass. His hand rested on the smooth, cool stone of the spear tip he had been meticulously shaping for days. It was sharp, balanced, and deadly, yet it was useless without a target. The elders spoke of a time when the bison flowed across the plains like a great, dark river, their numbers so vast they made the earth tremble. But now, the herds were elusive, scattered by the shifting seasons and the caprice of the spirits. The tribe's chieftain Boar, a man whose weathered face was a map of countless hunts and hardships, gathered the hunters. His voice, though raspy with age, still commanded the unwavering attention of every man. "The spirits are testing us," he began, his gaze sweeping over the gaunt faces before him. "The whispers on the wind speak of a great herd moving south, towards the sun-scorched hills. It is a long journey, and the way is perilous. But the hunger in our children's eyes is a greater peril still." A murmur of agreement rippled through the group. They had all seen the listlessness in their children, the worry etched on the faces of the women. Fear was a constant companion, but it was the quiet desperation of their families that truly spurred them to action. "We will not hunt them on the open plains," Boar continued, his voice gaining strength. "They are too many, too strong. We will build a trap, a great wooden heart that will welcome them and not let them go." He described his plan, one born from the collective wisdom of generations of hunters. They would find a natural ravine, a scar in the earth, and extend its walls with a formidable barrier of sharpened logs and woven branches. This V-shaped corral would narrow, funneling the stampeding bison into a confined space where the tribe's spearmen could strike with deadly precision. It was an ambitious undertaking, one that would require the labor of every able-bodied member of the tribe. For the next several days, the camp was a hive of activity. The men, led by Boar and the most experienced hunters, ventured into the sparse woodlands that bordered the plains. Their stone axes, painstakingly hafted to sturdy wooden handles, rang out as they felled trees. The work was arduous, each swing of the axe a testament to their determination. They were not merely chopping wood. They were crafting their survival. The women and older children played an equally vital role. They gathered vines and tough, pliable saplings, which they would use to lash the larger logs together. Their fingers, nimble and strong, worked tirelessly, weaving a web of interconnected barriers that would need to withstand the immense force of a panicked bison herd. The younger children, too small to help with the heavy labor, were tasked with gathering firewood and keeping a watchful eye for any predators that might be drawn to the scent of the working tribe. Cale worked with a feverish intensity, his youthful energy a stark contrast to the weary determination of the older men. He saw this hunt as more than just a means to fill his belly. It was a chance to prove his worth, to earn his place among the respected hunters of the tribe. He listened intently to the stories of the elders, absorbing their knowledge of the bison's ways, their understanding of the land, and their deep respect for the animals that sustained them. As the days turned into a week, the great trap began to take shape. The wooden walls, a testament to the tribe's collective will, stretched out from the ravine like the arms of a patient predator. They were a formidable sight, a man-made cliff in the heart of the wilderness. The air buzzed with a mixture of exhaustion and anticipation. The physical toll was immense, but with each log they placed, their hope grew stronger. The shadow of hunger still loomed over them, but now, it was met with the defiant glare of a people united in their struggle for survival. The day of the hunt dawned with a sky the color of a fresh wound. A tense silence hung over the camp, broken only by the crackle of the ceremonial fire. The shaman, an old woman with eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of the ages, chanted a prayer to the spirits of the hunt, her voice a low, rhythmic hum. She painted the faces of the hunters with red ochre, a sacred symbol of life and strength. Kale's heart pounded in his chest, a frantic drumbeat against the canvas of his ribs. Boar gathered the runners, the swiftest and most agile men of the tribe. Their task was the most dangerous, to find the bison herd and drive it towards the trap. They would need to mimic the movements of predators, to use the wind and the terrain to their advantage, and to possess the courage of a cornered wolf. Kale was among them. They moved like ghosts across the plains, their bare feet making little sound on the dry earth. After hours of tracking, they found them a sea of shaggy brown hides, a living, breathing mountain of muscle and horn. The sheer scale of the herd was breathtaking, a force of nature that could trample a man without a second thought. The runners fanned out, creating a wide arc behind the herd. On Boar's signal, they let out a series of sharp, piercing cries, mimicking the calls of a wolf pack. The effect was instantaneous. The massive heads of the bison lifted, their dark eyes wide with alarm. A ripple of unease spread through the herd. The runners advanced, their cries growing louder, more insistent. The bison began to move slowly at first, then with gathering momentum. The ground began to tremble, a low, guttural rumble that grew into a deafening roar. The drive was a chaotic ballet of life and death. The runners had to be close enough to keep the herd moving in the right direction, but not so close as to be caught in the stampede. They leaped over rocks and dodged thorny bushes, their lungs burning, their muscles screaming in protest. Kale felt a surge of adrenaline, a primal fear mixed with an exhilarating sense of purpose. He was no longer just a boy. He was a vital part of the great hunt, a single thread in the intricate tapestry of his people's survival. As the herd thundered towards the trap, the rest of the tribe took their positions. The spearmen, the most skilled and experienced hunters, lined the top of the ravine and the wooden barriers. Their faces were grim, their knuckles white as they clutched their heavy, stone-tipped spears. The women and older children stood further back, armed with rocks and making as much noise as they could, their shouts and cries adding to the cacophony that would disorient the panicked animals. The first of the bison poured into the mouth of the V-shaped corral. The lead animals, blinded by fear and driven by the relentless pressure from behind, had no choice but to follow the path laid out for them. The trap was working. A wave of relief washed over the tribe, but there was no time for celebration. The most dangerous part of the hunt had just begun. The ravine became a maelstrom of dust, sweat, and fear. The bison, now confined and realizing they were trapped, thrashed wildly, their powerful horns goring the earth and the wooden barriers. The spearmen struck, their powerful arms driving their weapons into the thick hides of the enraged animals. It was a brutal, bloody business, a desperate dance between man and beast. Kale, his role as a runner complete, watched from a safe distance, his body trembling with a mixture of awe and horror. He saw the courage of his fellow tribesmen, the raw power of the bison, and the stark reality of what it took to survive in this unforgiving world. One by one, the great beasts fell, their lifeblood staining the parched earth. The thunder of their hooves was replaced by the silence of death. The hunt was over. A wave of exhaustion and elation swept through the tribe. They had done it. They had faced the shadow of hunger and emerged victorious. The celebration that followed was not one of gloating or conquest, but of deep, profound gratitude. They honored the spirits of the bison, thanking them for the gift of their lives. The work was far from over. The tribe now had to butcher the massive carcasses, to preserve the meat, and to treat the hides. Every part of the animal would be used, a testament to their deep respect for the life they had taken. As Kale helped to carry the heavy loads of meat back to the camp, he felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. He had played his part, he had faced his fear, and he had helped to provide for his people. He was a hunter, and the people of the Red Ochre would feast for many moons to come, their survival secured by the courage and unity of the tribe. The wind, no longer a taunting whisper, now carried the sweet scent of roasting meat and the joyous songs of a people who had stared into the face of adversity and had not flinched.